Hello and welcome to polyplane.com. Today we're going to be talking about something that's a little bit dry, but it's kind of important. It's about matching. Matching is kind of an important concept when it comes to avoiding pinches and kinks in your surfaces. So I've got these three lines here. I'm going to join them. So I'm going to extrude them. And they look pretty okay, but there's an issue here, and you can't see it until I turn on the shading or even the rendering. I'll give you a better idea. So it's a little tricky to see, but there's actually a kink in both this one and this one, and this is due to the fact that the curves don't match. Now, this might be something that you're looking for, like a hard edge, and that's great. But if you want something that's smoother, you need to do something called matching. Now, I'm kind of using this one on the right as sort of a control line so you can see what a pure kink looks like. And if I wanted to fillet this, I could, select the edge, hit enter, and that would be nice and smooth. But if you want something that's truly flowing, what you need to do is match the curves. Or if you forget, or down the road when you already have your surface built, you can actually match the surfaces. So I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to hide this one because we don't need it, and we just want to focus on these two. And the reason we're focusing on these is the idea that if I draw a line across here, you can see sort of how the tangency of these two curves work. With this one, the tangency, if I bring this up and look at it, it looks tangent until you zoom into a straight line and you can see it actually comes above the line. We don't want that. I'm going to explode these back to each curve is on its own. And we're gonna match these so that they're truly tangent. One's gonna be tangent and one's gonna be continuous. What you type is match, and then I'm gonna click on the left one and then click on the right one. And this prompt will come up in Rhino, and this sort of surface and edge and curve continuity are a pretty normal thing. So there's options like this within just about every 3D program. I'm going to average the curves because I want to eventually join them. And since I have the join option here, I can join them right now and save myself some time. So the continuity of the curve is sort of how this flows. So if I were to just click on position, nothing's really going to change here, but I want the tangency to be right. So if I toggle between tangency and curvature, you can see what's happening. Look down here at the lower ends near the end of the curves. It's just a difference in how it flows together. I want this to be tangent, and the other end, meaning the end of the arc, we're going to have that be tangent too. So this is the closest option to what I drew. If I do curvature, actually curvature is a little bit tighter, so we'll use that and click OK. Now when I extrude this one and render it, you get rid of that kink in the surface. So it's a nice clean surface. And there's a surface analysis tool called Zebra built in to Rhino, which you can turn on and select your surface, and these lines will come up and it'll show you kind of how your surface continuity is flowing across. And this is exactly what we want. We want it nice and clean. If there's a break there, you know that you have sort of a kink in your surface. As a matter of fact, I'll extrude this one again and show you what that looks like broken. And you can see how the lines they don't exactly match up on this one, and that's just due to the fact that those two curves aren't aligned perfectly. We can make these a little thinner. Yeah, so for this one, I'm going to do the same thing, only I'm not going to join the curves, and I'm not going to average them either. I'm just going to affect the one side. This curve right here is I wanted to affect. You always select the one you want to affect first. And we're going to join them and position, because we want this to start at the same point. Let's see, we want it to be sort of a curvature, so it's nice and broad. Click OK. Now that's one curve, and now when I extrude it, you can see it's no longer having the kink. However, you can see because of the continuity that I chose, it does have kind of a harsh rollover right here. And, for this exercise, that's fine. The easiest way to control this is when you're building your original curves to just make them as clean of a curve as possible. So, meaning that if this is initially what I was going for, this is what I should have drawn initially. It was too far deviated from what I originally drew. This is what I originally drew with the intention of sort of joining these curves together and having it be one fluid arc. Now, the easiest way to avoid this sort of thing where you're just two curves together is just draw this as a single arc. and then take your points on here. We'll rebuild this so it has 5 points that are controlling it. Turn those on and just select these two and then move them down. And then that'll be a cleaner version of that arc. So just something to explore, and because when you're generating your surfaces, the last thing you want is some unexpected seam to appear that you have to struggle with fillets to blend back together. So using the match command, which is just match, is pretty useful. Now, one other thing, let's say I didn't match my curves and I just have this original kinked curve, and I'm going to extrude this again. Okay, it's got that form. The cool thing about the match command is it also works on surfaces. So if I type match srf and I click on one edge and I click on the other, it's going to do essentially the same thing, and you can even preview how that's going to change. So we want this to be curvature. We're not going to average the surface. Yeah, so every time you change your option here, you have to re-preview it for it to redraw. But essentially it's going to wind up giving you the same result as what we did with the curve, but this allows you to act it on the surface. So yeah, that's how you match things in Rhino, and it's very useful for cleaning up your surfaces. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great day. See you next week.